I often say that you can't write enough self-help books to cover everybody's circumstance. You can't write enough books to cover everyone's situation. One thing I have always said is that the one fix-all to everybody's situation is to, first of all, create a stronger version of ourselves. Because a stronger version of ourselves can pretty much face anything. We can always get the information. We can always get the principles that we might need for whatever it is we're particularly facing. But ultimately, we've got to be stronger ourselves, or we won't be consistent or persistent in doing what's necessary to resolve our particular problems, reach our particular goals, or resolve our particular situations. So we all have our own situations. We all have our own circumstances. And it really doesn't matter really what your circumstances are in particular, because the principles at play that really get you out of where you are have more to do with what's happening inside you. They have more to do with your heart, more to do with your drive, more to do with your tenacity, your inner constitution. If that's not in place, man, you could learn all the information you need and still remain where you are. In fact, most of us know more than we will apply. Isn't that true? We know more principles than we will ever apply. So we probably already know the solutions to our problem. We're just not willing to get there. We're just not willing to apply them. But if you are in that place where you're still struggling to change your situation, whatever it may be, something needs to change in your perspective. Something needs to change in the way that you see things that will start to release that energy, that will start to release that drive, that will start to release that power. And that's what I often refer to as personal power. You have all the power you're ever going to need. We can't give you more energy. We can't give you more power. What I mean by that is, I'm not talking about physical energy that you might feel if you drink some coffee or get a good night's sleep. Not that kind of energy. Because as you know, that energy can fade relatively quickly. So the kind of power I'm talking about is the power that gets activated really no matter what it is that you're facing, really no matter what it is that you're up against. You have a reservoir or personal power within you that can be activated, that can be energized, that can help to get you where you need to be. But something has to change in your perspective in order for more of that power to be released. And that's what I want to talk about all this week, is changing that perspective, changing your perspective of possibility. I mean, how many times do we feel like we have racked our heads over our problem and just don't know the way out? Or, we feel like we have exhausted all possibilities and still can't figure a way out. And then someone can walk up to us and tell us something we've never considered before, and boom, that's the answer that we need. The issue is that when we get in these bad situations, when we get confined, when we get restricted like this, we tend to blow up the situation much more in our minds than it actually is. And so we lose sight of possibility. It's our perspective about possibility. And what happens instead is you get the perspective of impossibility, and you start speaking the language of impossibility. I'll never get out of this. I've tried everything. No, you haven't tried everything, right? You haven't tried everything. There's so many more things that you could possibly do, so many more things that you could try and attempt. And that by doing those, even though they may not give you the answer that you need, they put you in a different perspective that from there you might find the answer that you need. What's important is that persistence awakens in you. Like I said again, your best defense in life is a stronger you. It doesn't matter what circumstances you're facing. A stronger you can deal with any circumstances. But what's got to come out of that stronger you is persistence. The ability to continue, the ability to be obstinate, the ability to be stubborn in the face of difficulty. I want you to be stubborn in the face of difficulty. I think we give up way too easy. And you might be tempted right now to give up. You might be tempted right now to quit. You might feel like you've done everything and you're just exhausted. You're just too tired. You're too weary to go any further. You feel like you've given everything that you have. I understand. Not an easy place to be. And so do whatever you need to do to get rest. Do whatever you need to do to try to restore yourself physically and mentally. But the circumstances aren't going to change. Your situation doesn't change whether you're weary or awake. It doesn't care whether you're energetic or not. Your circumstances are the way they are. So the cold hard truth is, even when you can get some strength restored, even when you can get some rest, that situation still needs to be dealt with. And dealing with that situation requires, first of all, you have the proper perspective of what's possible. And number two, that you are persistent, that you are absolutely obstinate and stubborn in the face of resistance and difficulty to solve the problem that you're facing. We've got to get you out of where you are. Your best life still lies ahead. Your best seasons still lie ahead. Things don't have to stay the way they are. And I know, man. I mean, I get the comments. I get the messages. You know, I hear from people who are coming out of abusive relationships, people who are trying to get sober, people who are trying to break bad habits, you know, people trying to find a new job, change things, trying to restore their marriage and all of these sorts of things, deal with illnesses. Man, I understand. I know life's not easy. We make bad choices, but we make the choices that we live in, right? It's our bed that we make, and we are in this situation. So it doesn't matter who's to blame. It doesn't matter where it came from. None of that matters. All that matters is that you've got to get out of it. All that matters is that you've got to break through. And that's going to take some keys. That's going to take some wisdom. That's going to take some understanding. But if you'll embrace it and you'll just accept the fact that this is the call to your life right now, forget everything else. Don't try to escape, right? Don't try to escape and keep telling yourself you need to just take some more time off. No. Because the situation's still going to be there when you get back. You've got to deal with it, right? You have got to deal with this situation. Can you dig that? I hope you can.